And so you sort of step out of that world and you just close that chapter, leave Leaston, come here, and then suddenly it all kind of goes, okay, we're ready now, you know, which is actually really, really exciting. And when we get to see the film, that's when you sort of, you know, the cinema goes dark, and it couldn't be more different than the actual experience of working on it. But it kind of crystallises everything that you've ever kind of, you know, hoped that you were doing best. And of course, we're always panicking that we don't see the things that we've done, but thankfully you will see some of the material that we've got on exhibition today.
We watched the film last week, so...
Yeah,
yeah.
We're very enchanted and entertained, and you know, and kind of grateful still to be involved in trying to build this world for you guys, because it does feel like you know, more of a, you know, there's a duty, if you like, a good duty to deliver, to keep delivering the language that you've all come to speak.
Yeah.
And we're also so grateful to have that dialogue with you, because it started off as us working on films and people going and seeing them, and then slowly, because of the fantastic fan base and the world that has grown from Harry Potter, it has become a proper conversation, I think.
We still sometimes don't believe it. No, that is
no.
all this is kind of...
And of course, the other great thing is that everything, because of every job and every piece of work, every book, every film, having a new narrative, having new challenges for us as designers, that's really the thing that kind of gets us out of bed and keeps it fresh. And we hope that you will enjoy seeing new things, new places, new styles, you know, new graphic styles that we haven't had a chance to see. Oh, and Eduardo got to touch on some of his homeland, which is a real joy, wasn't it?
Yes.
So, yeah, it's some of the pieces you'll see have the sort of core design languages that we rely on and that we'd set up in Harry Potter, and hopefully they're part of your, you know, your world now, that you don't think of anything else. That and some of it's new. Yeah, some of it is places we've not seen, situations we've not seen, but it's all still connected by that kind of essence and vernacular that is the wizarding world.
But as you said, Mira, I think the challenge this time was the pandemic, not being in the studio all the time, and everyone working in a very different way and not being together. But at the same time, like the magic,
I think
the film magic is amazing. You know how it.
But in so many different businesses, and particularly creative ones, it seems that people kind of found a way. They just, if you're nimble, you kind of find a way to push back, and then it must have been very frustrating, especially on set for people. But I think we had that gap, and that doesn't help either, because you're just about to film. But Warner Brothers were brilliant and created an environment that was safe for everybody. So once we were ready to come back a few months later, we just hit the ground running, and somehow it happened. So it was challenging, but we're excited, and also we're excited to be able to keep making this little world here, which the House of Mina world, renovated and new and with new energy. We were saying last night when we were hanging stuff that it was, it suddenly was like a throwback to, was it 2016? Someone will go, yes, 2016, when we did the first Fantastic Beasts exhibition in our old House of Mina, and it just felt like a sort of new energy had come through the building, and we want that to always happen in this building, and it does by virtue of the amazing people that we have working here. We've now grown from another thing that happened in the pandemic. We grew from being not so many, but now a really strong team, and they're all responsible for, you know, we did our bit on the film, but then they're all responsible for making these beautiful prints, getting them framed, getting them decorated.
And slowly we're spreading out across the world, now New York, Korea now, and Japan, and more places to come.
But you came to talk about the film. Do you want to ask any questions?
But we were like you guys, we were like kind of, come on, Warner Brothers, just release the film. like the same way you guys, we were like, oh, we finished, we filmed, let's just... So it was a bit of a shock when the change of release date happened, but at the same time, oh, So we can watch the film and celebrate the story again. And as we said, no, we watched the film, and I think we got a lot of that. I think it's really, lots of...
No pressure. Yeah. Do you want to ask any questions on maths, or do you want to just, should we break up then?
I think many people are wondering about the book scenario.
The tie-in book, like the Archive of Magic and Case of Bliss, unfortunately because of the change of dates, it was impossible to do the book in time, so that book's not happening.
It takes a good year really to produce a book, so by the time...
Because you know our books is so layered, we take so much time, we try to tell different stories through the book as well, and so unfortunately that was absolutely impossible. And with the script, they changed the way that they wanted to do it, and that's why we didn't do it.
So, you know, we'd love to do everything all the time, like literally everything. We need to sort of, you know, take a polyjuice potion or something, or time turner, either one. I think I'd rather have the time turner, but or maybe we are using the time turner. Maybe we are, But yes, it was the creative decision from the publishers and the agency was to take a different route, and so that was just the decision that we followed.
But there is one huge book coming out this year, which is The Magic of Minilima, that's coming out in October. So more on that on Friday, more details.
So if you're feeling a tiny bit disappointed about the other ones missing, then this will hopefully make up for the gap.
Yes.
Yeah, because some people are like signing petitions online for her, like to have like a book, like a cover of the script, like made by you. So just so you know,
it's very good for the J.K. Rowling's team and Warner Brothers as well. I ought to know that. Yeah, we are
mobilized. A lot of handmade ones.
Yes, but they're very nice. So maybe we'll be out of work. Oh well, I'm sorry on behalf collectively, but we didn't really have any decision in that. So, any questions about?
But on The Magic of Minilima, there will be several pages dedicated to this film. So,
So you say that's quite a big book?
It's a big book,
Okay.
It's 20 years of celebrating 20 years of Minilima.
The magic of Minilima.
20 years?
Some more alliteration.
Having seen the film and knowing that your props and so forth have shown with your artwork has shown up in the film, what should we be looking out for, which were you most excited to see showcased in the film that we should be?
I think there were several things, but there are a couple of things that the banners we had to do for the candidate. That was quite, a big task for us to do it. Because we had to not just design, not just have the concept, we had to help the fabrication as well, to choose the fabrics and pick them and all the materials. So that was absolutely really nice to work.
And quite a sort of intrinsic part of the narrative at that point in the film. So it's nice to see that become, that like, I think for us when props become almost like a character, that's like the ultimate kind of gift to a graphic designer, because quite a lot of the work of a graphic designer is deliberately to stay in the background. So when you can be a marauder's map, or you can be a banner that's contributing to the scene like a character would, then we're sort of personally like, that's nice. And I think for the audience as well, you might not realise it, but that actually those pieces are playing a part.
And of course not that big article thing, that is on the room of requirement that takes the heroes.
You saw that briefly in the trailer,
All right, so
again, a situation where, a graphic and sort of physical prop becomes a key sort of player in the scene is really nice, and you have to really imbue it with a spirit of what could be magical, and also say something about the place it's taking you to, perhaps. Not that portkeys do normally, because I don't think a bucket necessarily tells you. But in this instance, I think there was sort of nothing else in that room, so there was quite a lot of focus on that. Yeah,
amazing. Thank you for that.
And for me, as you all know, that I love doing the newspaper, so we added one more to the collection, the chamber.
But
the
the
silverback.
usual, the usual challenges of having to design in another language or two. So apologies, disclaimers.
Yeah, sorry if there's any mistakes or any spelling.
How did you work for the newspaper? Like, because it's neither is German, so like for the French newspaper, how was it to explore another culture, but to keep some kind of continuity with the different newspaper
And we try to do the same thing we did with the Daily Prophet, that always have like the serious headline, but also have the silly, the funny ones. So,
but relevant to the period, the
exactly,
place.
yeah.
So everything's topical. So it kind of, and of course we always try and surround ourselves with people who are going to help deliver whatever it is, whether it's a craftsman or whether it's, in this case, having someone who can translate correctly and bring a little bit of spirit to the language too, because so much of the original writing that she used is got a kind of play on words. So to try and do that I think even in the French thing, our assistant was French, so that was really good. So Cyril, he was able to, we'd say, and trying to give them titles, the actual newspaper name that would have a little bit of a smile.
So what does it actually mean?
It's the silver bat.
Oh, okay.
So, and also it's very, there's many names that are already taken, because of course every time we want to create anything new, a brand or a product or a book title or anything that's got a title needs to be free to use. So. Do you approve of the French title?
Oh yeah, I love it.
As a French person.
Yeah. I love the French title.
Le cri de la guerre. Ah oui.
We should leave some lying around the Notre Dame. When it's ready.
I'll go a screaming newspaper for the magical world.
So much of your work is really colourful and beautifully so, but like things seem to be getting a lot darker, literally, in the wizarding world. So I was wondering whether there was, whether that's different, just having to design in greys rather than Technicolor.
Oh, that's a good point. And actually, when we do end up in the sort of final bit of the film, it is a very different world, and it's a very it's a much more rural sort of environment that we find ourselves in. And so we were thinking, well, if material was, we're literally thinking like boring practical people, like how would these things be printed? What materials would they use to create these banners or these flags or these books or tickets or posters? So we're always thinking about that. And if you're in a mountain village in the Himalayas, what access would you have to that, as well as the situation being a little darker? So that kind of lent itself quite well to a style that was very monochromatic and quite kind of naive in its manifestation, visually. So a lot of sort of wood blocking style and kind of hand cut, nothing digital looking at all. So, and physically we did that as well. We made
that's the fun thing now, when we have those kind of situations where we really like to spend lots of time doing research and really find out. We couldn't go to Bhutan, but we would love to go to Bhutan. But we had lots of books and stuff to kind of really make sure everything was proper and done in the best way possible.
I suppose would it have been a similar thought process in the time period as well, trying to make things
Exactly.
fit within the time period?
Nothing later than, even if we're going to be magical, nothing later than sort of just early 30s.
Nothing that would look too out of place. It still
Exactly.
must belong. Yeah, absolutely.
Especially in the model bits, but
Yeah.
even in the wizarding bit, it needs to have the spirit of the period. Yeah. I think we have to do a bit of a swap around. I think I can hear more people coming down. So, but if we're here.